Okay, so we got the episode The Storm, and boy, wasn't this an interesting one? You got some good development of pretty much our main hero and our main villain. You go into the backstory of both of them, and at first, it's funny because I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, why are they doing both at the same time? Each one should have like their own episode so they can really dive into it. But man, the way they tie these two together, the way they tie both stories together is so beautifully done and so nicely done. At first, when I was watching it, I was saying, "Oh, this is way too repetitive." You know, they're gathered around the fire and they're telling the story, and then you cut to the Fire Nation. They're gathered around the fire telling a story, and when they're telling the stories, they actually both complement and offset each other perfectly, which was very smart and very clever. And even at the end, when you see the Avatar, he's flying away. He looks down and he sees Zuko, and they just exchange this look. And to them, it's like any other look. But now we know to us that they have this very large thing in common. That they both very much live in a world of their core is massive regret over a mistake that they made. And both have gone to very different extremes. One has gone to the extreme of being so consumed by it that he runs away from it, and the other has gone to the extreme of being so consumed by it that he lets it run his life. He devotes everything he can to fix the problem, pretty much. And that's two very interesting sides of the coin, but it's still the same coin. So I thought this one was very nicely handled. And for those who don't know, well, okay, you know, but this is the one where Aang tells his backstory about when he was with the monks, why he left, and that is what happened. He left. He wasn't sent away. It goes a little bit into again sort of the dilemma of whether or not this kid should have been told, and now why he was told. I think that's important too, is that they know something big is coming, and they know this will probably damage him, and this is not the best thing for him as a person, being told that he's the Avatar. He's going to have this great big weight set upon him and all this responsibility, but much greater things are at risk. Many other people's lives are at risk. And of course, that big dilemma is that worth it? Is that, justified? And it's a good question. And so these two sides of the monks are differing on it. One, wants to teach him, but still wants him to be a child. He wants it to be mentally stable and mentally sound and balanced out, because if not, you're taking pretty much the most powerful person in the world and you're going to turn him into a madman, possibly. And the other is saying, no, we don't have time for this. Bad things are coming. There's this war that we can sense, and we have to speed this along. We have to take the risk that, hey, he may miss out on some parts of childhood, but at least we can do it well enough that he'll save the world, and stop war. So it's a good dilemma. And then you also have this great story with Zuko. Well, first of all, I love the conflict. I shouldn't say conflict. Well, what am I looking for? I love how much they set up that the crew is not happy with him. And again, you're turning these foot soldiers into people, and I really like that. That they think he's too consumed with trying to get his honor back and revenge and stuff like that, and they doesn't care for the soldiers at all. Which he even pretty much said right to one of the soldiers' faces, "I don't care about you at all. All that's important is my redemption," pretty much. And again, both the hero and the villain are trying to get redemption. And when they hear the story, I also about Zuko and how he challenged this general for something he thought was not morally right, but he didn't realize through sort of a loophole, it's not fighting the general since it was in his father's quarters or in the war room, whatever that was. He has to fight his father, and that he thought he was being honorable enough by not fighting him. He could not fight his father, and the father being obviously a very mean, gruff, bad person, pretty much. He burns his face, and that's where he gets that scar and banishes him. And it's a pretty tough backstory. for both of them. You know, you can see how each one equals out the way they do. I really like how, you know, it's not like something bad happens that's like really extreme, but the person takes it too well, or vice versa. Something really kind of minuscule happens, that person blows out of proportion. You know, both are really justified. You can see how these two kids came into being the people that they are. It's not just, hey, let's have a tragedy just to have a tragedy. They are both very much fueled by their backstories. And again, by telling them side by side, it was so smart. And I think the other thing about the Fire Nation too is that it's showing very much, you know, the kind of world they live in, and you know, how harsh it is and cruel it is. It has sort of, you know, this barbarian, Nazi-ish kind of feel to it. And, you know, and there's this one character especially, like, you know, when I think the uncle's watching, well, he can't even watch, he turns his head away, he can't see, you know, Zuko get punished. And there's this one girl in the front. It looks like they're gonna make her a character. I'd be shocked if they didn't, because she's way too well designed. There's too much detail on this girl, but she just has like this look, like this evil little smile, and she's clenching her fist, and it's like, dude, she looks like she's 13 or something like that. She's already, yeah, kill him, you know. And it's just interesting seeing how, like, you know, everyone's sort of in this realm, or at least in the higher ups, at least, are very much along these lines, and how they would sacrifice, you know, essentially the young soldiers to save, you know, or use them as a distraction to bring in the other soldiers to attack. It gives a great background to where Zuko is coming from, and that actually something that was very honorable, they see as very weak. And again, that makes that very interesting villain, and has you sort of questioning, well, is he gonna be totally bad, or is he gonna be good? Is he gonna sort of find these, is he gonna be ruled by his devastation, by his dishonor, or is he gonna be ruled by the fact that what he did was probably honorable to begin with, and that he had good morals and intentions and ethics that didn't agree with the nation? So all that stuff is wonderful. I'm trying to think of anything else. It was just a good humor again in this one. You get some good jokes from Sokka. You got this I forget they're a married couple, or no, it's, I can't remember, the fisherman, and I can't remember if it's his wife or a client or what. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting, but both of them have a lot of really, really good lines. And for whatever reason, what I really take out of this episode is just the look that Aang and Zuko give each other. And Zuko's even far away, but it's like and it's not for very long. It's just for like maybe a second, but they take the time to really focus on these looks of, you know, just Zuko with his anger and Aang with his sort of wide-eyed innocence. But they both look very just confused and lost. They look very lost, and you could see there was just a connection there, whether they realized there was a connection there or not. But you know, we know there is. So, and again, I like when a show or a movie shows something that there is a connection, regardless whether or not the characters know there is or not. And so when they do turn and look at each other, even if they're not aware of it, we can see, wow, these two are actually much more similar than they realize. So I'm going to enjoy seeing where that goes. If I had to guess, I mean, it can only go one of two routes, I think. It can either go that Zuko is gonna go Darth Vader and sort of turn around and be, you know, and say, hey, this is bullshit. I should do what I think is morally right and go against my father's wishes. I see in the credits the father's voiced by Mark Hamill. I mean, obviously he's just gonna be like the diehard douche, you know, just the pure villain. So he's either going to go against and say, no, Father, you're wrong, and this is right, and I gotta do what I think is morally right, and break off, or he's just going to be so consumed that he's going to want to turn that way, but he can't because his father has too strong a control on him, and it's going to be fun, regardless. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. Or maybe there's a third option. You know, it seems like it has to go one of those options, but it'd be interesting if somehow they found, like, an in-between or something. So, yeah, a really great one. A good, really good developing these characters, and I can't wait to see where the connection goes next. So, yeah, that's about it. Great episode. See you next one.